You. So, welcome to the second in my new series, Liminal Writing, where I'm welcoming Sam Messersmith this week, who writes Wandering Willow, which takes you on lovely journeys through the trees. So, Sam, as I explained, we're going to be talking about being in a liminal space in our life and using writing through that. So, your Substack, Wandering Willow, grew out of what you describe as your dark night of the soul, a time when you had to remember how to breathe, rest, and belong again. So I'd love to start there. And if you could talk us through that liminal space and what it felt like to be in it, and how writing emerged as something that could help you through.
Yeah, you deep dived there. I was not
Yeah, yeah.
expecting that. Okay, someone did their homework. Um, yeah, well, okay, first, I would have to say, like, well, like, thanks for having me, and second, um, that's a really great question. I feel like I have to give some background, um, yeah, like, the Dark Night of the Soul, because like, that's what led me there.
Mhm.
Um but so that Dark Night of the Soul was probably autistic burnout is what I'm learning about myself, and midlife, of course, right? It seems like, ADHD and autism comes out in midlife. But I was working a corporate job in 2019, like, just like your typical office job, and, it was actually heavy work. It was people's homes were being foreclosed upon, and like, we were deeding the houses back to the banks so that, like, they wouldn't be foreclosed on, and I thought, like, I could separate myself from that work energetically, but, like, no. And no, not really. So, yeah, it was a nasty thing, and, um, I didn't feel like I was getting support from, like, anyone, anywhere in my job, at home, like, nothing, nowhere, and it started to take its toll on my body physically, mentally. I was waking up every day with panic attacks, like waking up with panic attacks. I couldn't really get out of bed. I was going to therapy at the time, and I was told to just lay on the ground outside when I was having those panic attacks. And just like feeling the earth beneath me helped, but the job was really like killing my soul. And so I just quit my job, no notice. My husband had gotten laid off just before I decided to have my little breakdown, and so that was also, like, a really difficult time because, like, neither one of us was working, and, that obviously puts a strain on your marriage for, like, a bit there, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really tough times, and it was a really dark place. I went to some really dark places mentally, and, even with going to therapy, and I'm just like, "Okay, I've tried all, like, the pills, the, like, not so well, I don't wanna what am I trying to say here? Like, all the pills, like, prescribed by a doctor, and then, like, the newer stuff, that's, like, becoming more legal, so, like, stuff like that, and, like, none of it was working. No, like, just none of it was working, and I went online and Googled, like, how to help this mental health issue that I was having, and happened upon forest therapy. And, like, as soon as I read the words, like, well, forest bathing, and as soon as I read the words, I was like, "This is for me." And I took the training, and in it, we learned about the liminal space, and I it, like, opened up, like, a whole world for me. I didn't know what the liminal space was until that, and it was interesting because a lot of people that are in the liminal space came to forest therapy to train as guides, and so I think it's a really, like, liminal space, like, activity, and um, just, like, helps people in transitional spaces, I think. So, yeah, that's what brought me to writing again, essentially, was forest therapy. I'd always kind of wanted to write and didn't know what. I don't like, I think some people do have that, like, urge to write, but you have no idea what. And so
Many people I've discovered.
yeah, it's like an indescribable urge, and, like, I've always had it. I mean, like, I'm looking at my vision board from, at least 2019, like, right across from me, and it says, like, "Work from home writing," and, like, that's what I'm doing now, which is cool that, like, vision boards sort of work, right? Um, but it doesn't say what I'm writing, it just says writing.
Yeah.
And
It can encompass many things.
yeah, it can. That's yes. Um, and I think I want it to encompass many things too, but, um, my mental train kinda got derailed, and now I'm like, "What?"
So,
Uh,
yeah, so you trained as a forest therapist, or you had forest therapy to start with, and then that brought you back to writing.
yeah, the training as a guide honestly, the training alone was, like, life-changing, but, doing a walk was really also, like, life-altering as well. Um, it felt like I was on drugs when I was, like, on the walk, and I was not on drugs. So I was like, "Oh, this is the vibe, like, this is what I want more of." I wanna be high on life, like, so, um, so yeah, I was gonna say, like, writing kind of found me as a way to process things, and I did it through poetry. Like, I know everyone talks about journaling a lot, like, a lot of writers do, and I did not journal. I had, like, a little kid journal in, like, 3rd grade and wrote, like, a sentence like, "My mom was mean to me today." Like, that was my journal. Sorry, mom, like but, like, yeah, I didn't really journal, but I liked poetry and expressing myself through poetry, and that got me through some, like, heavy times as, like, a teen and, like, early 20s and everything like that. And so, like, I do have a love of poetry, and then, getting through, like, the forest therapy guide training, I just really fell in love with writing again. There's something about being in nature that makes you wanna write or makes me wanna write. And
Mhm.
that's why I started Substack. Like, if I hadn't done forest therapy training, I wouldn't probably have a Substack, so that's been, like, a major part of the journey. And I still feel like I'm in that liminal space. It was actually 2022 when I quit that job, and I haven't worked, like, a traditional job since, and I thought, like, something would, like, fill the space, and it's been writing. Like, that's really yeah.
Yeah, I had something similar. I was working I was self-employed already, but I was working in, corporate communications jobs as a freelancer, for 3 days a week, and then working as a freelance journalist the rest of the time, and trying to write my first novel. And we were living in London, and it was really expensive to live there. And I was working in this financial organization, and it wasn't long after the 2008 um, global crisis, financial crisis that the banks caused that wrecked so many people's lives. And I was working as a freelancer, writing stuff for this organization that was lobbying for the banks not to be regulated, and to just be free to do what they wanted. And every day I was just sat there and I was thinking, I can't be writing this. I can't be doing this. I shouldn't be here. And, but I couldn't afford to leave because we were living in London, which is one of the most expensive cities in the world. And there's no way that my freelance journalism was going to support the rent and the bills and everything. So I just carried on doing it until in the end, yeah, I did what you did. And I just went, no, no more. This is destroying my soul. And then shortly afterwards, we left London and we moved to a part of the UK called Exmoor, which is a national park. And it was my first real encounter with nature. I'd visited the countryside before on like days out and things, but never lived there, and like really been immersed in it. And yeah, it changed everything. And I was only writing like for work and this novel at the time. And then that's when I started using my writing to explore this strange space that I found myself in, where my soul had been destroyed by what I'd been doing for work. And I didn't feel like I knew myself anymore.
Yeah. that, like, identity part is a huge part of it. Again, I'm 42, so I'm in, like, the midlife, who am I? Astrology. I mean, I always view it through astrology because that applies to, like, everyone, um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Like, I could get into, like, the whole thing astrology, but yeah, midlife is, like, the time astrology explains it, and so,
Now,
uh
do share. I'd like to know what astrology says about midlife because I don't
yeah,
know.
there's transits that occur from well, and it's different for everyone because it's the orbits aren't exactly, like, 20 years exactly. I know there's a your 5th Venus return, I believe it is. I'm not a professional astrologer, but, um,
Mm,
yeah, there's a Venus return for, like, the 5th time or something, and that's, like especially as women, you grow into, like, the whatever the version of the feminine is for you,
right,
if you identify it that way. And then, um, well, I would imagine it would have something to do with receiving as well. Um, and then there's I believe a Saturn square and, like, a Pluto square or something like that. Um, and those are, like, not easy, like, placements, and they're really, like,
right.
transforming you and breaking down the structures, and it's like it really is
Wow.
kind of like the liminal phase, like the goo phase. It's like, "Okay, we have to break you down because, like, who are you and who are you becoming?" It's like that shift from, like, all the conditioning from childhood and, like, working through as an adult, and it's just like, "Okay, now that I'm in midlife, like, fully established, who am I?" And
Right.
it is difficult work.
It's really difficult work, but you just described my whole 40s. I'm 53 now, so I'm coming out the other end, but I just been through that breakdown of all of that stuff and discovering what I am, who I am. I don't know. I still don't know, but it's nothing like what I was when we left London. But yeah, like we said, I always feel like I'm in some kind of liminal space, and it never feels like you reach a destination. We're just on this path that keeps unfolding before us. So, where has your path of forest therapy led you?
Here. Here, well, like, literally Substack, yeah. I saw something about Substack and I'm like, "Oh, you get paid to write, okay." Like, little did I know. Like, I'm not a trained writer in any way. I'm actually really grateful for that because I've heard it's really brutal. I'm honestly way too sensitive for that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very brutal.
yeah, I wouldn't have survived it. It probably would have made me hate writing, to be honest, so, um, pretty glad my training is in, like, food and forest, so
Yeah, I saw that you're a pastry chef allergic to wheat and a forest therapy guide allergic to grass.
yeah.
Handy.
Right? Yeah, that was another moment where I'm like, "I'm allergic to everything I love," which I have cats, and I'm allergic to cats too, so
Oh no. How do you
yeah,
manage that?
I really am allergic to, like, things I love. Um, I've heard a long time ago that's, like, an addictive thing, so, maybe that, I don't know.
Mm,
That's why I need to live by the ocean though, because there's not a lot of grass, and so I can walk barefoot in the sand in the ocean, not
yeah.
grass.
A friend of mine trained in German New Medicine, which is quite a radical new kind of medicine, alternative medicine. And I had a problem with wheat, and she told me that all our allergies come from something happened when were engaged with whatever it is that we're allergic to. So something happened to shock me when I was eating a sandwich or any other kind of wheat product. And something's happened to shock you when you were sitting on the grass or playing with a cat. And she said, you don't have to remember what it is to reverse it. And she said, you just have to say that you don't have it anymore. And I was like, what? And she went, yeah, you just have to let it go. She said, let the shock go and then your body will react. And I thought it sounded really crazy. But I thought I'll give it a go. I said, all right, then what do I have to do? And she said, you have to just eat a little bit of wheat. She said, but before you do, She said, just talk to it and tell it that whatever happened between you is over now and everything's okay. And she said, and then eat a little bit of it. She went, and nothing will happen. She said, you won't have the usual reactions that you have. She said, and then leave it for a week and then do the same thing and eat a little bit more. And so when I used to eat wheat, I used to get rashes on my arms, and my stomach used to swell up, and I used to feel a bit sick. So I was really nervous about eating it, and I cooked a little bit of whole wheat pasta, and I had one piece of penne, and had a little chat with it, and said all the things that I was supposed to say, and I ate it, and nothing happened. I didn't get any reaction. So I carried on doing it and building up the amount that I was eating, and nothing ever happened again. I never had any reaction again. I was amazed. And now I can eat wheat.
That's
So
wild.
it is
Does it
wild,
work if
yeah.
you have, like, a ton of issues? Because like, there's at least, like, 12 things that I'm allergic to. I
Give
have
it
a
a
lot
go.
of conversations.
Start with the wheat. Yeah,
Oh,
so who knows what's going on there, but it worked. But maybe it's the power of belief as well, because she made me believe that it would work. So it
yeah.
worked.
Belief is a powerful thing, yeah. So,
Belief is a powerful thing. And I think it's what moves you from one liminal space to the next, believing that things can change and believing that you can have whatever it is that you've got in your mind that you want things to be like next.
yeah, that is actually where I'm at right now. Been reflecting in a lot of conversations with friends and, I don't know if you do, like, tarot, but I think it's the 4 of Cups that comes up a lot for me, and it's, like, this person that's looking at 3 spilled cups, and they're looking just so sad at those cups, and, like, behind them where they aren't looking is, like, a new cup, like, filled, and but they're only looking at, like, what's been spilled and knocked over, and I'm
Mm.
just like and that keeps coming up, and I'm just like, "Man." That's, like, definitely where I'm at, and, like, I'm just like, "Okay, so, like, how do I see what I can't see?"
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to know how you can envision what's coming because one of the things that I've learned so far in this life is we've got no clue what's coming. We might think that we know what our life is and how things are going to be, but we don't. And everything can change instantly and does often.
Yeah, that whole thing kind of made me stop, like, future planning, making goals, like, honestly, like, 2020 killed any, like, future planning goal stuff I had, because we had actually just bought, like, a year membership to a gym, like, just before that, and I'm just like, "Okay, I'm never getting a year to anything now, like, thanks to, like, the pandemic," so
Yeah. But it is true, though, that I have learned if you just let go of that expectation and concentrating on all the things that didn't work and all the cups that you did spill, that your cup does fill with things that you never expected, um, and never envisaged even could come to your life. I know that's certainly true for me. And after working as a writer and then a teacher of writing for 15 years now, I've been teaching creative writing. When I came to Substack 3 years ago with The Mindful Writer, I just wanted to write about mindfulness and how it can change your writing practice. And now here we are 3 years down the road, and I'm now a meditation teacher and a mindfulness mentor. And I never planned that. I never saw that coming. But here
yeah,
it is. And so now I'm in another liminal space of not being one thing or the other. I'm still both. I'm still what I was, but I'm becoming something else.
yeah, um I think I got the tarot wrong. Someone corrected me in the chat. It's like 5 of cups.
Ah,
Um, which, yeah, again, perimenopause brain, so,
Yeah, no.
yeah. But I'm not a professional at anything, I think that's probably, like I that's why I'm in the liminal space, I'm not a professional at anything, I'm in the in-between, beginner's mind. Someone else wrote in the chat that I wanted to say, Bettina says, "A friend of mine says the reason for making a plan is so that you know when you need to change it."
That's a really good thing to say, yeah.
Like, thank you for
Betti
that.
Bettina's a friend of mine, and she has all these wonderful nuggets of wisdom that she shares with me all the time.
Yeah. That's a good friend. And then, like,
Yes.
there's a lot of little, like, quotes in there, like, a friend said that, and your friend shares quotes, and yeah, sorry, I love the, like, the spreading, like, of ideas, like, I like when good things go viral.
Yeah. So Hamilton is obviously a tarot expert. Hamilton says the Four of Cups is an image of meditation, three cups in front of a man sitting under a tree, and the fourth cup being offered. Ah, okay. So are any of the cups spilled? Or has somebody just made that up
Yeah,
entirely?
I know, I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's a person sitting in a tree looking at spilled cups with his cup being offered to them, so they have read
Ah,
tarot since they were 15, so they would know. I'm assuming
they
you're not
would.
16, so yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So you've also, I checked out your Substack, obviously, in preparation for this event. So you described your writing as a form of listening to the earth, to your body, and to the truths that we've been taught to hide. So is that something that the trees taught you?
I would say yes. Um, I'm also coming to terms with the fact that writing is a form of channeling, um, and that revealed itself to me when, again, I was in a liminal dark space, and, like, I just wanna point out the liminal space is just in between. It can be good, it can be hard and difficult and bleak, so,
Yeah,
I do have
it's
some good
all the
times.
things.
I do have some good times in there, but, like, I'm enjoying life, so I'm probably not gonna write about it. I write about the hard stuff. Sometimes it's good stuff, though. But, yeah, I remember writing something in my journal, which, like, again, I rarely did, and I remember just picking it up a day later, and I was like, "Who wrote this?" Like, I don't remember writing this, and it was, like, this beautiful thing of, like, how loved I am and, like, everyone loves me, like, plants, animals, like, humans, like, all of it, like, all of life loves you, and I was just like, "I needed to hear that." Like, that was cool. And
Mm,
but I had no idea what had happened, and so, like, I didn't really do much until forced therapy, like, that's when I was writing again. I would get words, like, when I'm outside, like, ideas, words, phrases, um, subjects? I don't I don't know how to really explain it. Sometimes, like, a poem would form, and sometimes it would just be, like, wisdom when
mhm,
I'm outside, and so, um, when I sat with a sycamore tree in the past year, I'm trying to remember when that was. I know I wrote a post about it, but it was in that moment that I realized, "Oh, it's the trees that are, like, talking to me." Like, I mean, yeah, I know that sounds like a little maybe woo or whatever, but I just like, I was with the trees, there was no humans around, and I was just getting, like, all this wisdom, and I was like, "It's gotta be the trees." Like, I know it's not
yeah,
me. Like, I didn't go to school for writing. Like, so, yeah, it's definitely from the trees. And
yeah, we
yeah,
connect to things beyond ourselves, definitely.
yeah, I know a lot of people believe that trees have souls. Um, I know, like, everything's alive, like, here, and at least, like, now. I've had to learn that through religions that taught me that, like, animals didn't have souls. And, like, even as a little kid, I was like, "That's not right." Like, I know that's
Mhm,
not right. Like, I'm not and, like, it took me a long time to believe that that wasn't, like, something I could change my mind about.
mhm,
Like, I'd get in trouble for for what I believe. So, yeah, it's been a long journey of like accepting the the messages, the writing, like all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize that I was channeling writing until I'd been doing it for quite a long time. And I had these people that turned up in my head when I was writing fiction, these characters, and they were just completely fully formed. And they were like real people talking to me and telling me things in my head. And I thought that that was how it worked for all fiction writers. But then when I was going out to writing classes and writing events and things, and talking to lots of fiction writers, a lot of them weren't experiencing that. So I just went a bit quiet about it and thought, okay, I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing. And then I was writing and editing my first novel. And this was this woman that had just turned up in my head and started telling me a story about herself. And then while I was still working on that one, another woman turned up and started telling me all about herself and her life. And she became the character in my second novel. And then I was kind of getting an idea by this time that I wasn't actually making up any of this. And it was coming through me, but I didn't quite have the language to express it in the way that I do now, and the mindset that I do now either. And then when I wrote my novella, which was the third long project, I knew completely then that that's what I was doing. And I didn't make any, like, have any ideas about how I thought this story was going to go. And I just let it come through me. Um, and then I started writing another novel, um, which has ground to a halt and doesn't seem to be starting again. But these two characters who I'd written in flash fiction stories, um, years apart, just turned up in my head and started telling me that they knew each other. And I was just like, okay, yeah, okay, thanks for letting me know, and not really doing anything about it. And then one day, one of them just turned up and she was just like, right, okay, we know each other and this is how. And then she just started talking and I wouldn't stop. And for about half an hour, I was just writing down everything that she said. And I was like, oh, okay. She wants to tell me her story. And then the other one came and started telling her side of the story. And this went on for months. And I was just writing down everything that they said. And then it just stopped.
Do you think it's complete?
No, I mean, I've got about, I don't know, 11, 12,000 words of this novel, um, in their voices when they're 40 years old and when they're 16 years old. And they were weaving it together and telling me how things in the past have led to where they are now. And I don't know, they went, and we're not on the same frequency now. So maybe they'll come back one day and start talking to me again. But in the meantime, I'm not writing that novel.
Yeah. Um, Mindset has such a big like component of it because I notice I tend to force not flow, and so I like want a poem to look a certain way, and I write it, and like different words are coming through, and I just write like I have to write what's in there, otherwise it's gonna like get lost. And
Mm.
so like I look at it and I'm like, that's not what I wanted to do. And like that happens with like art sometimes when I like watercolor. Watercolor is like its own training, but um again, like it's just like a new hobby I picked up. And yeah, well, watercolors is like teaching me. It's like you have to just go with what like the water wants, like what the art wants to be, not what I want it to be. And
Mm.
that's hard. When you have like controlling issues, like that's hard.
It's hard, yeah. I found that with everything I write now, that I have to just not have any clear goals for how it's gonna turn out. I can just have a vague idea about what I'm gonna write, um, and then just start writing from that vague idea and see what comes out. but I don't seem to be writing any fiction anymore. I've moved into a transition time, an in between time with that. And after writing it constantly for um, nearly 20 years, none for well over a year now.
Yeah. Like, I gotta know, like, what keeps people going? Like, that's, like, the phase that I'm in. Like, so, like, yeah, how do you move through that phase?
Well, I've had phases before where I didn't write any fiction, but it didn't go on for that long. But it would be like a few months, and I used to panic, and I used to think, "Oh no, all the ideas have gone, all of the access to these characters has gone, my words have gone." But it always came back. Um, and so I learned not to panic when it happened, and this has just been the longest time of it happening. Um, but even though I'm not writing fiction, I'm writing all kinds of other things all the time, and learning new things. And I think I'm transitioning away from fiction being how I explore the world. I'm in between. I
Mhm.
don't know where I'm going with my writing, but it seems like it's maybe not that anymore, and that's okay. I'll see what happens.
Yeah, I laugh because you're like, "And that's okay." And I'm like, "Wait." But the whole time I'm just like, "So you trust?" Like, basically, like, the answer is, like, you have a lot of trust
Yeah,
in, like, all of the things, like, yourself, life, like, just yeah,
yeah,
the
and that
process of becoming.
whatever is unfolding is what's supposed to be unfolding. So don't panic. I've had
Yeah.
to learn not to panic. I used to panic a lot.
Same. Yeah, that's yeah. But yeah, I said the process of becoming, and I didn't make that up. I took that from Hamilton's Lore and Shadows in the chat, so I just wanted to give credit. Um, and I
It
also
is,
noticed
yeah.
your friend Bettina, right? Did I get the name right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Bettina. Hi. Um, their son is a tree keeper and beekeeper, and they use the term other than human friends, referring to all living beings. In forest therapy, we learned the term more than human world
Mm,
because a lot of us tend to make it less than, and so it's kind of like offers the opposite. Like they actually know a lot more than we do. We actually learn
yeah.
from them. So
Yeah, definitely. And I think maybe that our mindset around that is changing as a species now, and that we are starting to realize that they have just as much intelligence as us in different ways. Um, like we can make things in the way that we do, which has not gone that well for us when we look around at what's happening. Um, but it doesn't mean that we're more than them or smarter than them. It just means we're different.
yeah, yeah.
So Robert says in the chat, everything is borrowed. Yeah, it is. And borrowed from the field that we're all accessing is something that I've come to learn that there's this collective consciousness and energy flowing through us all, and it brings different ideas. Somebody told me about Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love,
Yeah.
and that apparently she shared a story that she had this idea for a short story, and it was like really fully formed in her head, all the characters and everything like that, but she didn't have time to write it, and so she didn't do anything with it. And then not long after, she went out for a coffee with her friend, and her friend had written the exact same story and read it to her.
I've heard that story too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're all connected to something. I'm not sure what, because that's another thing I've learned. I don't really have a clue what's going on.
Yeah. And it's hard to name. Like if you have like yeah, it's hard to name whatever these forces are. At least like I don't maybe it's just me. I don't even like to put names on things because it's so much bigger than a name I could put on it.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. We like to name things though, don't we, us humans?
we do.
We like to categorize and separate. That's that, and this is that, and that's that.
Yeah, and absolutes and stuff too. I'm not really a fan of absolutes.
No,
Like
me neither.
yeah.
So I believe completely, Sam, it isn't too woo for me that the trees were talking to you and sharing things with you.
Yeah.
I
I'm
completely believe that.
I'm learning that that's a thing that more than just a couple of us do. So, actually a
Yeah,
lot of people, yeah. I think that's pretty cool. I think, um, I don't know, I'd like to think maybe they're speaking up a little bit more and, like, letting us know, like, "Hey, well, this is what's up. This is what we need."
yeah. Pay attention. Yeah,
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 and, like, normalizing it.
yeah. It definitely feels like there's a whole shift in consciousness happening, and more people's hearts and minds are opening to there being a lot more going on than what our 3D senses are perceiving. Robert said in the chat, the morphogenetic field, Rupert Sheldrake. Yeah, morphic resonance. He writes about that all the time. Yeah, I know his work. Really interesting stuff. So, Bettina, we think our power is in knowing, but what I'm hearing is that a greater power comes to us by staying in not knowing, living the mystery. Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I wrote a whole post ages ago actually on Substack, which is called Embracing the Mystery, and how we need to learn to remember to do that again.
Yeah. So, wait, I don't think I'm familiar with the morphogenetic field. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, Rupert Sheldrake. Yeah, so he talks about morphic resonance and there being energies in the field that resonate round and round, and that we can all access them, and that it also runs through generations. And so when we're born, we've already got the resonance in us that came from the field at a time before we were here in this expression. I think that's what is right. Who shared it, Robert? Is that right? What I've said about Rupert Sheldrake's theory? Something along those lines.
Yeah. So, basically naming that, like, time is a construct and everything's happening all at the same time, and we're all connected.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
my cat.
Oh, and now we have a cat. Lovely.
He's come to explain to us. Robert said you're correct, so
Yay! I
I'll
have
take
understood it.
You did it. You've
Yeah.
made it successfully through your 40s. You can remember things.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's it for today, Sam. Thank you so much for your time. I really love talking to you about liminal spaces. And thank you to everybody that came along and listened to us chat. If you want to come and explore liminal spaces with me, I'm taking people into writing in the bardo, and we're going through yoga nidra together to access the writing in our subconscious. Check it out and come along. I just put the link in the chat, and it's going to be powerful. It's already half full, so lots of people want to go get in that liminal space.
Yes, shout out to my Uncle Paul. I saw him on there. He said hi and
Oh,
bye. So,
hi, Uncle Paul. Bye, Uncle Paul.
but yeah, definitely follow Amanda, sign up for her stuff. She's good people. Do
Oh,
it.
thank you, Sam. As is Sam. Go sign up for Wandering Willow too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. And I'll see you again somewhere soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.